Well, Kids Online started in 2006, connecting researchers from different countries. And this is something that is different because usually the researchers work at their national level and are not so involved in networks as we did. And we built really, let's say, a community of researchers that discussed what had been researched or not, created buildings, concepts. So I think it is an example of collaborative research in a moment in Europe where there was political sensibility for the issues related with children's safety online. So this made possible that we had funds for conducting a huge survey in 2010 that became an international reference, as it happens nowadays in Chile. We did a survey in 25 countries involving parents and children, national sampling. It was a fantastic opportunity that we got, and we explored it very well. So I would say that because we had a strong leadership by Sonia Livingstone, it also matters, we were able to create not only concepts, as I said, but also ways of exploring this data in different, let's say, outputs. Articles for academics, but also results that were accessible for national stakeholders. And we had this aim. We have to communicate our results to the national stakeholders, saying what is particular in our own country comparing with the others. Because one thing that it's important in this kind of research is we don't look just to our country. We can look to our country and see how it is similar and different with other countries. And this is also something that is very relevant. Usually the researchers at national level produce results, but they are not comparable, and in this case we managed to do this. So basically I think it was a very good experience. Unfortunately we don't have money at European level, so we want to do more research in Europe, but we have to get money at national level. And this is not easy because in Portugal, like in other countries in Europe and in Latin America, the economic situation is not strong, and there is an idea that there are other objectives that are more important than children's online. So, but still, I do believe that we will manage to have funds at the end. Well, the main lessons. One thing that I would say is this kind of research involves that we have to be very critical and very, let's say, we have to be aware that the results that were produced in a certain moment changed with a strong pace, a strong rapidez, a strong I don't remember the word in English, but the pace is the word. So, for instance, when we did this survey in 2010, there was no iPhones, there was no tablets. iPad was started in 2010. Today, the digital ecology is totally different. And if we are not able to redefine our framework and make new questions and introduce new problems and new issues to be researched, if we are not able to do this, we, as researchers, are not well succeeded. So I think that we were able to identify that we need to redefine our framework from 2010. The framework in 2010 was strongly oriented to risks, because the issues related with risks were in the public agenda. And now we said, our question in 2010 was that risks should be researched, but risks are not harm. A risk could be an opportunity. But nowadays we redefine the framework and we said the key issue is what are the influence of all this digital environment for the children's rights as a digital citizen and for well-being. So if we can see our questions in 2010 are not exactly the same that we have in 2016 nowadays. And this is important because we were able to identify that times are different and the digital ecology is different. Even the parents are different, because the parents 8 years ago they were not so digital users as they are nowadays. So we are facing new generations of children, new generations of parents. The national context has also changed. So, and another question that deserves attention is this work became an international reference. And for instance, Chile and Brazil and the Global Kids Online were based on the work that we did in Europe, but at the same time we also learned from their experience. And it was very interesting to listen to Chilean colleagues saying your framework in Europe is too focused on the child as an individual, and in Latin America we have a culture where the child is more seen as a member of a community. And this makes us think about. Well, I would say that probably the main impact was on the issues in relation to risks, because in the beginning, in the 2008-9, when we started doing this work in Europe, the idea was we have to assure no risks. And our research showed that no risk is no use. So if the child uses the internet, there are always risks. So the issue is not let's eliminate all risks, because this is impossible, but the issue is how can we make the children more aware and more empowered to deal with risks, in order that risks become not harm but opportunities to go to explore more the potentialities of the internet. And for instance, if we look at the let's say the slogans that are used in the Safer Internet Day, along the years you can see that they are not too focused on risks, but also on well-being, on let's say opportunities. Let's make the internet a better world. So, and I think this is we can say that this is an influence of our research, because we identified that those children that have more opportunities online also experience more risks, but they were able to manage the risks. So the risk was not negative in itself. And this idea is something that is demanding for countries like Chile or like Portugal. But I would say about Portugal, because I know this situation. In Portugal, there is a culture of overprotecting children in order to avoid all kinds of risks. And this is impossible to assure. And on the other hand, it it goes against the autonomy of the child. So it is important that we are able to manage the risks and not saying no risks because this is impossible. I think that is one about risks. Yes. About access also because in some cases there was the idea that if we put policymakers think that it was easier to assure the access in schools, and our data show that the schools could have the equipment, but if the teachers are not motivated or don't feel enough prepared, they will not use the technology. So we can say that our data contributes to show how the technological determinism doesn't work. Okay? Oh, so many goals, because we have to do more research about young children that are starting using and assessing the digital. Nowadays they don't have to know the letters or numbers because they just touch and something happens. We have to do more research about the families as unities where the children grow up, and the main access happens in the family, at home. So we have to identify that the families are different, and we have to be able to, let's say, to provide different kinds of advice. We need to continue producing this kind of data in a regular way, because the landscape, the digital landscape, is changing. We have to be critical and to review our concepts, and so it is. Nothing is given as for always, and we have to be able to communicate why this research matter for society, for the families, for children, for the generations in general. So for the inclusion, for the citizenship. So lots of points.